All right, so let's get started today by reviewing how we subtract polynomials. So we're going to do a couple of questions together to refresh what we learned last class, which was that adding and subtracting of polynomials. And then I'm going to give you an opportunity to practice a couple on your own. You can think of this part of today kind of like your BTB, where we go back and review something from a previous class. Let's get started with this question here. And what's the first thing that we need to do in a subtraction question? What are we going to do first in a subtraction question? Right, so the first thing that we're going to do on a subtraction question is we're going to distribute that negative sign, that minus sign. We're going to distribute it to everything in the parentheses that it follows. So we have minus 3x squared. And then the negative times 7x is going to be minus 7x. And the negative times a negative 11, a negative times a negative is a positive, so we get a positive 11. Okay, now let's start rewriting the question. So we've got what we have first in our first polynomial here. We have 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus 9x. And in our second polynomial, we want to line up the things that are like terms. So we've got a negative 3x squared that we're going to write under the 5x squared. We've got a negative 7x to write under our negative 9x. And we've got a plus 11 just kind of hanging out here on the outside because the plus 11 doesn't line up with any of the terms from the first polynomial. And now we're just going to add these together. So we've got a 2x cubed coming straight down because there's no other like terms. We've got a 5x squared and a negative 3x squared. The positives are winning there by 2, so we get a 2x squared. We've got a negative 9x and a negative 7x, which will be negative 16x. And then we've got our plus 11 on the end there. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pause for a second now to give you an opportunity to jot this down if you haven't already done so. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at our next question. We're going to do this one. We'll do one more here together, and then you'll have a chance to do a couple on your own to warm up. Okay, so on this next question, we're again going to start by multiplying our negative sign to each of the terms in that second polynomial. And that's going to give us what? Right, so when we multiply that negative, we're going to get positive 4x to the fourth, negative 7x cubed, and positive 15 out of there. Okay, we'll go ahead and start rewriting our first polynomial, 4x to the fifth minus 6x to the fourth minus 9. I'm leaving a little space here because there might be some other terms we need to fit in here along the way. As I kind of look ahead, I see that there's a term that has an exponent of 3. And so I'm just kind of leaving a space for some stuff that doesn't exactly line up. Okay. As we go to our next question, we're gonna, as our next part here, our plus 4x to the fourth is going to line up with that term right there with a negative 6x to the fourth. The minus 7x cubed doesn't really line up with anything because there's no like term that goes with it. And then there's a plus 15. As we add our lines together, the 4x to the fifth will come straight down. The negative 6x fourth and the positive 4x to the fourth will combine to give us 2x to the fourth. The negative 7x cubed will come straight down, and we'll have a plus 6 at the end. Negative 9 plus 15 is negative 6. All right. So we're going to now take an opportunity for you to solve a question. We're going to just hit the pause button after I'm done with this, and I want you to try to answer this on your own. Okay, as you're answering this on your own, after you answer this on your own, we'll come back and we'll take a look and we'll walk through it to make sure that we got it all right. Okay, go for it. All right, so let's walk through this. We're going to distribute our negative sign first, and we're going to get a positive x to the ninth. We're going to get a positive x, and we're going to get a negative 17. We will rewrite our first polynomial here, 3x to the ninth minus 4x plus 2. We'll write down the other terms that kind of match up with it. So we've got a positive x to the ninth. We've got a positive x, and we've got a negative 17. And when we combine these, we want to be careful to remember that a letter or a variable that's by itself really is counting as one of them, right? So we can almost write those ones in there to just help us remember what we're doing here. So 3 plus 1 is 4x to the 9th. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3x. And positive 2 and negative 17 combine to give me a negative 15. Did you get that question right? Did you get that one right, y'all? Okay, so I hope you did. I hope you got that one right. But if not, we have one more shot here. We're going to go ahead and take one more question here. We're going to try one more. Let me give you an opportunity to do this question now. Go for it. All right. So our first step should have been to distribute that negative sign again. It's going to give us a negative m to the 8th, a negative 4m to the 6th, and a positive 5m. We can start rewriting our first polynomial. The first one says m to the 8th minus 4m to the 6th plus 2m. And we'll drop our second polynomial underneath it. So that's a negative m to the 8th, a negative 4m to the 6th, and a positive 5m. And now we're going to add our like terms here and see what we get. M to the 8th minus m to the 8th is 0. It's gone. It's nothing. It completely cancels itself out and leaves nothing behind. Negative 4m to the 6th and negative 4m to the 6th will combine to give me negative 8m to the 6th. And 2m plus 5m will give me 7m. All right. So I hope that was a good little warm-up. I hope you remember some of this stuff from last class. I have a feeling that a lot of you do, and that's awesome. We're going to kind of throughout the period today have the opportunity to do a couple of different activities. So make sure you check in on Teams. Make sure that you are checking back there to understand everything you need to do today. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day of learning, even though I can't be there with you live. Okay? Bye, everyone.